anything type of cheating, something like that. That's not the goal.
I know it seems like quite a big year for FC. Obviously last year was the big relaunch, and this year it seems like, it doesn't seem like you're resting on your laurels. You've got a lot of big changes this year, right? Can you give me like a kind of quick overview of some of the main ones?
For sure. So the first one, it's Rush. And why am I talking first about Rush? We are receiving really positive feedback about this brand new 5v5 gameplay experience. And it is basically our new social experience. It's designed to be played with friends while controlling one player each. And it's integrated across all of our existing modes. So you can play it in Ultimate Team, you can play it in Clubs, you can play it in Career Mode, you can play it in Kickoff. And what we're doing is we're creating a smaller pitch with 5 players per side, 4 human-controlled outfielders and 1 AI-controlled goalkeeper. And what this new setup is creating is more time on the ball, or more time doing something that really matters to the outcome of the match. So when you have the ball, every pass, every dribble is really important because it dictates if you're gonna lose the ball, your team is gonna score or actually concede, because basically you lose one ball and then counter. And when you don't have the ball, where you go, how you move, what zones you cover is crucial as well. So that keeps you engaged from the moment the match starts. And we are redoing a lot of the set pieces, all the surrounding components to the core gameplay experience. We're redoing them to make them more fun, more dynamic. For example, penalty kicks in 11 versus 11, you just aim with the left stick and shoot with one button. That's not necessarily the most dynamic experience. Well, we wanted to redo it in Rush. So the player taking the penalty kick is kind of a one-on-one with the keeper that takes much longer than just aiming and pressing. And everyone else, so the rest of the players that are on each team, they are also in control of their players doing something else. So running behind, chasing or something. That's what we needed, a more dynamic experience where everyone is engaged. So like that, we looked at every set piece, and what we didn't want to change though is the core gameplay mechanics, like passing, shooting, dribbling. That's the same. Why? Because it took many years to develop those features to where they are right now. So if we said, okay, let's just take advantage of that, dribbling is the same regardless. We don't want to change dribbling to make it deep. No, we're going to keep dribbling. And then when you put all the components together, it's a very fun experience. And right now that we have the closed beta live, when I go and read the forums or social media, it's just positive. It's feedback is really positive.
That's great. With Rush, obviously with the arrival of Rush comes the decision to kind of sunset Volta.
Yeah.
What were some of the learnings you kind of took from that project over? It seems like Rush is almost a reaction to what you guys like best or didn't like best about Volta.
So absolutely. So very good learnings, very interesting learnings from Volta. So first, our players were telling us that they didn't want to leave their favorite modes to go play Volta, because it was a separate mode. That's why Rush is now integrated into different modes. That's one. Why? Because you feel like you are maybe missing out. So now you can play Rush in a more social environment while still getting your FUT rewards. So that was one. The other one was gameplay. So we wanted to create a more different experience in Volta. We changed dribbling, we changed goalkeeper, and then that takes a lot of time to really balance, to really polish. So now we knew that we have polished and balanced mechanics. So hey, let's see if we can reuse those instead. So we started iterating with a bigger pitch size, with a smaller pitch size, different players, and then we finally arrived at something that's different. In terms of gameplay as well, the Rush pitch is 230% larger than the Volta pitch.
Right.
So it's a lot more space. You can still be creative, you can still get away from defenders, you can still do one-on-ones in the same way you would do it in 11 versus 11. So it's a completely different experience. In fact, when you play it, when you actually start learning it, you will right away realize you don't even think about Volta. You just think it's more of a combination of 11 versus 11, but more like in a clubs type of setup. It's different.
And I imagine the people that did really enjoy Volta will still be able to enjoy Rush in various ways. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I'm sure you probably would have gotten onto it if I hadn't kind of butted in. One of the other big changes is FC IQ. It's got a big overhaul to tactics, which I was looking at it and I was like, wow, this seems like there's a lot of inputs, a lot of information, a lot of things you can kind of tweak and develop to kind of make your own kind of tactical fingerprint, or whatever you want to call it. I was wondering if you had any general kind of tips or tricks for players as they're kind of taking on this new system for the first time and trying to kind of get to grips with it.
Yeah. So the first one is understanding that through player roles are one component of FCIQ, you can literally customize how your team is going to behave when they have the ball and when they don't. So basically, when you see your formation, you say you do a 4-4-2, that formation is the positioning when you don't have the ball. But now, through player roles, you can tell them now, okay, I want my fullback to become basically a midfielder, and I want my winger to drop back, and you can customize that and basically create another formation when you do have the ball, and basically your team is going to be adapting. That's something that you didn't have before. So before it was just one formation, you can do some tweaks, that's it. So now it's basically your defensive formation and your modified formation through player roles. So that's something that you need to basically get to understand as you play more. That's a big one. The other one is just for those that are more casual players, is FCIQ can sound like, oh, it's tactics, oh, it's gonna get deep and I don't know enough about football perhaps. It's designed in a way where if you just want the basics of team tactics, it's super simple. Literally, you just change a couple of things and then you can experience already a few things. So it's not. You don't need to be a master. You don't need to be a Pep Guardiola. But if you want to really get deep into tactics, your Pep Guardiola mind now has a big impact in gameplay.
It's like that meme of I am Jose Mourinho. So if you do something really good in FCIQ, that's how you'll feel. It's like
yes. So yeah. The key is that you will see in gameplay everything you set up for your tactics is easier. It's a lot more noticeable in gameplay. So it's easier to see in gameplay. So that's the key.
Yeah. An interesting detail of FCIQ, I thought, was when you said about the ability to kind of save your tactics as a code and then share that code. I can imagine that will become quite a big thing amongst the community of people sharing them on Reddit or in YouTube comments or wherever people are gathering. And also I think it could be quite a fun way of like, because I'm a big Spurs fan, and if I want to have a tactical setup that was like, I just want to be able to take like the code for Ange Ball and plug it into a League Two side or into England or something. And take like, I imagine someone will make it, or I can try and make it myself. And then that sounds like it'd be really fun. Like, there's like the social element of that kind of part of the reason why you did that.
Absolutely. You described it all. You answered the question for me. That was the reason. It's feedback from the community. How many videos were in FC24? Hey, sharing my tactics, and then you have to go copy one by one, and it's So now you don't need to worry. There's code, set it up, and then you have the same tactics. So absolutely, we expect people to try to tweak tactics specifically for career mode or for things, kickoff or whatever it is. So that was the goal.
Nice. Are you going to try and like do any like collabs with people? Just imagining like if there was like an official from, Mourinho or Pep or Ange or someone, like, here's my tactics, see what you think of it, kind of
so
thing.
we already do that. Like we pre-populate tactics for managers.
Yeah.
So if you have Pep Guardiola, yeah, the tactic that comes with him is gonna be more passing oriented, short passing oriented. So we do that, and I do expect to see also tactics from pro players. So some of our FC pro players, like they are really good, and it's like, hey, this is my tactic. So I expect that to happen as well.
Nice. And so jumping back to Rush, I thought the idea of integrating it into each mode, I think was really fun. And I was just chatting to your colleague from the career mode team over there, and I think that it sounds like, what's the idea that like you want the teams who work on those modes to kind of organically find a way that they want to put it in, not to like try and shoehorn it in somewhere.
Totally. So we had basically a lot of brainstorm sessions around what's the right way to integrate it. It's not just an integration. Career mode was a good one. You already talked to Andreas, but if you just hear, well, 5v5 in career mode, at the beginning it's like, well, how is it integrated? But the idea is brilliant, where it's like, oh, it's youth academy, and when you hear young players actually, they spend a lot of time in 5v5, because that way they get to practice more certain skills and different type of awareness, and then as things become more official, more professional, then yeah, you need to start structuring more and all that. But it's like, oh, that's great. So we actually integrated it in a very authentic way, and that's great. And then in Ultimate Team, it's all about still getting rewards when you do Rush, not just competitive 11 versus 11. In clubs, it was more about just offering whatever you prefer. So you want to be really core 11 versus 11 as a fullback. I'm gonna wait until the ball comes to me. Perfect, and that there's definitely an audience for that. But also, if I just want to play as a team, have a social experience with 4 players instead of 11, that's a lot more accessible. It's now possible.
Definitely, yeah. When you said in your announcement that it's going to be in all the modes, my first thought that it would be like a 5-a-side full career mode, where it's like you have to try and like make a team of just 5 players. I guess that sounds interesting, but then the way they did it was, oh no, that sounds more like something from real life.
Exactly.
Yeah. And one thing totally different was the addition of professional fouls. What was like the thinking of that? 'Cause it's almost like starting to delve into like kind of, you know, the dark arts of football rather than just the nice parts of football. What was like the thinking?
So first of all, professional fouls are an important part of football. I actually don't know if there's any stat that proves that it happens more now than it did 20 years ago, but because perhaps because we are integrating this feature, we're paying close attention to it, and it's happening a lot. But there's some very important football moments recently where a professional foul changed the direction of a match. So we thought that, well, it's part of football. We want it in the game. There's gonna be a lot of conversation about it. However, you could already foul someone with a slide tackle.
Yeah.
That already existed. So what we're doing is we're just making the mechanic more consistent, because after all, slide tackle is trying to go to the ball. In this case, you don't need to go to the ball. You just need to pull someone.
Yeah.
So we're just giving you a more consistent mechanic. That's the goal. And because we don't want the flow of the game to get stopped very often, we're going to be giving a yellow card. We're going to be penalizing this. So we're going to keep monitoring it. At the moment, it feels like it's not going to get abused or anything like that, because you get a penalty if you do it. I mean, a card. But we'll keep an eye, absolutely. And if for some reason the flow of the game is priority, if for some reason the game is stopped too often, it gets annoying, we're gonna reevaluate. So yeah, but so far the signs are okay. People are using it, not too much when they have to use it.
Nice. And with that, do you kind of see that as like a gateway perhaps to other features in future that could kind of get into that more, the dark side of football, or whatever you want to call it? Will we be looking at, diving next or anything like that?
Not really. Diving, of course we've heard it before. It hasn't been a priority. It's not something that we are actively looking to do. anything type of cheating, something like that. That's not the goal. After all, professional football, it's a decision of stopping someone. It's part of, people do it all the time, so it's a bit different. So yeah, no intentions to go in a different direction.
Okay, but no.